Okay, everybody, this works now on the microphone. Well, here we are starting again with a little iris account, just to have something live streaming. As you can see, some small high end with some shorts, some dogs. Put up 9K crash.
Hello.
Adam is here as well. Hey buddy. So I hope this works now, but it looks like Twitch is finally back as well while I'm streaming, which is pretty nice. To reconnect that didn't work fast, but it looks like gone.
It's not working for me.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It is not working for me
Not working?
on Twitch.
Let me check. It's working. It did work for the first couple minutes, but yeah, it's true. It doesn't work on my end. Something is broken with my Twitch connection from Restream. I have no idea what it is. It works for a couple seconds, maybe a couple minutes, and then it's off. No idea what.
Well, I can't help you much with this one. Are you streaming on YouTube neither?
It should be live on YouTube. It should work on YouTube.
Let me see. I'll help you much with this one.
Yeah, YouTube works. Twitch does not. So strange. Restream tells me that Twitch works as well. No idea what. Whatever.
Is there a link for YouTube?
If you got a link, yeah, for sure. Wait.
Oh, I'm gonna watch on YouTube to not have duplicate voices from there and here.
Sounds good. As always, you can join me anyway on Discord if someone is listening on YouTube. Some noise cancelling. Okay. Let me see if I can put down the filter a bit. Maybe now it's better. With the voice cancelling. The problem with the voice cancelling always is that if I open the gate too early, you can hear my clicking, mouse clicking and the keyboard all the time, which can be quite annoying as well. But I guess it's still better to hear me properly. and have some background noises. I guess that's too much now though, because now I think you can hear the computer as well. That's not good. Let me see. Maybe if I put the microphone a bit closer like this. Feedback is always welcome. Quick bounce on the euro dollar now. We may have to close it up pretty soon if there is a break higher. Dollar yen looking way better. That's actually a neat setup for the pound for a quick one. Let's see if I can get some nice one in there. It's too much. Just a quick one. So the breaking point is actually here. It's the last 15-minute high. Cannot hear me on Discord? That's interesting because I think on Discord it should work. I always see the green circle around my icon. So that should actually work. She just shouted that the chickens from a neighbor escaped. So I may have to go and just catch them again. Jesus. Yeah. I'm not shaving too often, honestly. I usually have a full beard. Beard. Is it called bird or beard? I think it's beard, right? Not bird.
It could be whatever you want it to be, bro.
Looks like we're not going a lot further on the dollar. No follow through. Dixie still below Friday close. Was a small pullback, 15 minutes. Looks like it doesn't last too long. Let's give it a little bit more wiggle room, but not a lot further. Just closing down if it goes a bit more against me now. Pretty frustrating markets lately. We have seen a lot of fake breaks, fake moves last week. The price was looking really good. We had some nice breaks and then no follow through and then turn around and just hitting the other side. Is pretty frustrating for my approach of trading. Worked out rather fine though with the news trading last week, where we had NFP, ADP, JOLTS, weekly claims, ISM reports. So that worked out quite fine, but everything in between was pretty frustrating, honestly. When you buy UJ right now, it seems like it's closing the gap, to be honest. Yeah, well, was a little break to the upside at around 147,600, and I got in a bit late, honestly, on that one, but it looks like a turn, like there was a break higher. I can show you on 1 minute chart. I hope you can see it more clear. Right there, right around daily pivot point, was a break higher right here. So that's when you usually enter. So around 147, 600, around 615. Got in a bit late on sort of the second break, but it is fine still for an entry. Gotta check the bond yields now as well. Didn't check that one just yet for the day. So the 2 years American bonds are still trading at 3.5%, so they did not break down further than Friday, at least for now. The NFP low still came in at 3.467%. That is actually still shy of the low for the year, which came in at 3.448. That is still like 1.2 basis points lower. The 10-year is still trading at 4.08% as well. That had quite a long way to the April low at 3.86%. And there's still some 2 basis points. 20 basis points to the lows of the year. And the 30-year did not break down a lot on Friday on NFP. Still trading at 4.77%. I mean, that's off quite a bit from the 5% we touched last week on the bond route early last week. But it did not yet break down from the range between 5% and 4.75% that we saw since, well, actually since early May this year. Established range between 4.75% and 5% on the 30-year. EU bonds are trading lower today. The 2 years back up at 1.9%. It touched 1.86% on Friday. The 10-year is pretty much unchanged on a day so far, 2.66%. And the 30-year is pretty much unchanged on a day as well at 3.29%. So bonds are still trading around the highs of last week from NFP, post NFP, but not much change today, at least so far. Same is true for gilts, they're pretty much unchanged on the day as well. We don't really have any news on the calendar if I'm not wrong. So the next I have on my marked on my calendar is actually tomorrow, the 3-year auction, and that should not be too much of a market mover as well. Then we have China CPI Wednesday morning, early morning, so that's the night from Tuesday, Wednesday. And then we have the first real data that is coming up is Wednesday PPI, American PPI. There's not a lot to chew on after the NFP report last Friday. Looking at what's expected after the NFP is quite interesting, especially on the Fed side. We're currently pricing in a 50 cut in September with a 10% chance. 90% chance that we have a 25 basis point cut. A 50 is not coming, guys. This is not going to go through. There's not gonna be a 50 basis point cut in September. Yeah, so the eyes are definitely on the CPI on Thursday. That is true. Isn't usually CPI first before PPI? Yes, usually is. This week it's not. Don't ask me why. But we have PPI on Wednesday and CPI on Thursday. There are fixed rules when those data points come out. It's like NFP is always the first Friday. Well, it's actually not always the first Friday of the month, but it usually is. But it's actually 3 weeks after the survey week, which is usually the second week in the month before, right? Which is usually the first Friday of the month. And ISM reports, as an example, are always on the first and the second day of the month. From manufacturing and service, that is, or maybe it's the first and third, something like that. At least it's the first week, right? And then CPI is usually the second week of the month. PPI as well, but please don't ask me about the exact rules when those come out. If the CPI is soft, the market will react to that, even in the 50. If the 50 BPS is not really coming, yes, the market will price in more rate cuts later on. So as an example, we're currently pricing in 3 cuts till the end of the year. That is a 67% chance of 3 cuts currently priced in. So we are going to see more repricing to 3 cuts till the end of the year if we get a weak CPI. I'm not sure if that is coming, but that makes a lot more sense than 50 basis points in September. There are 3 meetings left for the year, which is upcoming one in September, 17th September, then one in October, end of October, 29th, and then the last one December 10, and it may make sense for the Fed to say, okay, we are cutting 3 consecutive times now with 25 basis points if the data allows it. So let's say CPI is coming in weak, the next NFP report is coming in weak again, and so forth, right? And it would make sense for the Fed to say, okay, we cut 3 times this year, but I still don't think that the data is currently so weak that it would allow for a 50 basis point cut, which means that I still think the September pricing is too dovish. The end of the year pricing might be correct. There is, as I said, 68% chance for 3 cuts, 23% chance for 2 cuts, and 7% chance for 4 cuts priced in. I really don't think that we get 4 cuts, like 1 full percentage point lower than we currently are. I don't think that makes any sense, at least with the current data. I also don't think that the data is going to to crumble that much in the next couple of months to allow for that. But the market would definitely go for more dovish pricing, that is for sure. But we all know the market can extend to the wrong direction quite a bit before it turns back again to the correct pricing. So we may just have a good trading opportunity there. If we check 1 year out to September 26, which is the meeting that is 1 year out, it's currently priced in more or less 50-50 between 125 basis points and 150 basis points in cuts. So that is somewhere between 5 and 6 cuts for the year ahead. End of 2026, we're currently pricing in 6 cuts, so 150 basis points from here, and that actually makes sense in my opinion. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 11 meetings left. 6 cuts. So that would mean we're cutting 25 basis points roughly every two meetings. That makes quite a bit of sense if the data is deteriorating over the next couple of months, but not crumbling so fast. That makes a bit sense. I would still say, even if the CPI is coming in soft and the pricing for the September meeting is going even more dovish, so let's say we're pricing in 20% chance or even 25% chance of a 50 basis point cut, you can probably try and fade that on the Fed funds futures on SETQ. Eurodollar is pulling back a bit again now. Same on the pound and UJ. I did not buy it yet, no, but I definitely will. When is it coming out? Like the official release date is October or something like that. I'm probably just gonna buy it on release. For the 10th October. Yeah. Then I'm probably just gonna wait and see the first release day. Maybe a couple days afterwards, and then I'm gonna see and go from there. But I'm definitely gonna buy it. Just no pre-orders anymore. You know what I mean? But it looked good. It looked very good. So let's check what's the goal with this account. If I'm plotting it up, we should get some, yeah, roughly 10 to 15% a day in average. If I'm continuing with this risk before I'm blowing up, of course, right? We all know I'm gonna blow up this account at some point, but let's just assume we're gonna continue to make some good trades here and there, not blowing it up too early. We'll continue with 15% day probably, so it's roughly doubling every week. So we should probably see the account going from 9,000 today to 10,000, 15, which would be target for the day, roughly. As I said, probably somewhere between 7,500 to probably 20,000 end of the week. I'm gonna try to be live over the next couple of days every day. Let's see where this is going. Looking at EU specifically, and what's the thought on its current price? We say euros overvalued at the moment. I didn't expect it to come higher after it hit and got below. Well, I mean, there was and still is a big fundamental change on the US side, obviously, which is why, or the biggest reason why the euro is so high as it is after it got below parity. Is it overvalued? I would say it's probably closer to a normal level. It was, the dollar was probably a bit overvalued when it was below parity, but the thing is, the tailwinds from the dollar pretty much faded over the last half a year, probably a year, and it pretty much started when Trump was elected, when everybody figured out that tariffs are just bad for the US dollar in the end. It hurts growth quite a bit, and the problem is, if inflation, even if tariffs are inflationary, right, the Fed actually has to raise the rates, hike the rates, but the problem is, if at the same time the economy crumbles because of tariffs, inflation won't go that high, right? Because spending just can't keep up with it, and then inflation has to come down again. So it is actually bad for the dollar. This means that the tailwinds for the dollar faded, beside losing a bit of this reserve status of the dollar. If we looked at the market in the last half year, whenever we had a dip in risk sentiment, the dollar was pretty weak as well. In the past that was different, because every time we had a dip in risk sentiment, the dollar was rising quite a bit, right? I mean, it's a safe haven, right? But that changed in the last half a year or something like that. I think because a lot of investors just losing some interest and some, I'm going to say, some trust in the dollar. Is if that is coming back, I have no idea if it's coming back, right? But if it's coming back, then the dollar is very likely quite a bit undervalued again, which would also mean that the dollar, the euro dollar, is quite high at the moment. But the problem I see is that we still don't know about the health of the US economy going forward, which is pretty much going to determine where the US dollar is going as well. Same time, the bond market is not yet sure how to react to everything that is coming up on the fiscal side of policy. I mean, there are a lot of changes in the US right now, but the market is slowly trying to figure out how to react on that, but it is still not sure how to react on it. I mean, we see 30-year yields trying to get to and above 5%, quite hefty right now, but it's still not going higher. It's like the market thinks that if we're going into this politicized Fed period now, that it may changes the long-term picture of the market as well, especially on the fiscal side with the higher deficit, with no idea how to raise money on the government side. The pressure on long-term bonds is up, on the short-term bonds as well, but the short terms are managed by the Fed, right? But the long-term bonds are still trying to figure out what to do with that information. And I'm not sure if we are going to see certainty about even the near future pretty soon, because the fiscal side of things is just so uncertain at the moment. Trump can come up with new ideas all the time. We don't even know if tariffs are holding up, right? I mean, it's going to the Supreme Court now, but what if that is not holding up? Then you have to, tariffs removed again from one day to the other, which would change everything again. So I would not say that the euro is overvalued at the moment, or the euro dollar, but I would not rule it out either. What I can say is that on the monetary side of things, we have quite some dovish pricing at the moment for the very near future, but probably also for the long term already. Like as I said before, for 2026 we have some 150 basis points in cuts priced in already, which is quite a bit. But if the data is going to crumble some more over the next couple of months, that is still not enough, right? Because the Fed might cuts down to 2% quite fast, which is still 125 basis points lower than what's currently priced in for the end of 2026, right? So there's still a lot of room to go lower. But yeah, if the data is holding up, we are pretty dovish already on the pricing side of things, right? So monetary side of things is pretty dovish, so I would say that the dollar is probably undervalued a bit, at least in the very short term, and probably in the middle term, so like 1.5 years as well. But that really much depends on the data and what is happening on the political side of things. on the euro side, I would say we're probably on more or less maximum peak what we can price in for the euro strength. The ECB held rates now. They are probably still holding rates for a little bit. The data is holding up quite good. We gotta admit that. It is not as bad. The problem though is, like, if you look at the data, I mean, it's holding up, right? It's going sideways. It's even slightly going up maybe, but it's not good. Like, the data was pretty bad all of 2024, pretty bad going into 2025, and now holding where it is probably better than expected, but it's still nowhere good, right? So the market is looking at that as a positive sign, because it thinks that the European market is probably bouncing a bit, going through that uncertain period of tariffs quite good. But I see the big risk of data going to deteriorate quite a bit in the euro area over the next couple of months and probably years again. And I too think that the ECB is not at the terminal rate already. I think they have to cut some more. I still think we're, we're probably at neutral rates right now, or around neutral, but I think the euro area needs a little bit of supportive rates in the very near future. So I think they're gonna cut some more, and that is probably not fully priced in now. So I think on the euro side we can expect some weakness in the next couple of months. What else is there to say? Well, on the political side of things, Europe is, I don't want to say falling apart, but we are getting very, very close to that. I mean, if you're looking at France, it's just a mess. Italy is holding somewhat steady, but there's a lot of pressure in Europe. Let's just say it like that. I don't think the market is pricing it in right now. I also think the market is a bit hopeful that the whole Ukraine thing is coming to an end, but I'm not sure if it's actually ending very soon. I'm not sure how the market would react to that, but yeah, gotta wait and see, right? If we're looking at the technical side of things, euro dollar got pretty high. Gotta admit that. I mean, we're close to multi-year highs. Yearly high got in at 118, 300, something like that. Highest level since 2021. We are pretty high, yes, for the recent term, but I would not say we're overvalued right now. I mean, we can easily go to 122, and we're still not breaking any very, very big level from the last couple of years. But I mean, this is still post-COVID highs. 12300, 123,500 is the high post-COVID. We can probably easily go up here 119, 120, and we would go right into those long-term trend lines as well. Go right there, and we may turn around. Who knows? But on the technical side of things, there is still some room to go higher. But yeah, definitely some room to go lower as well. I mean, if we look in the shorter term, we got right into this range here in the last couple of weeks, and we are currently right at the highs again of this range. So in the short term, it would make quite a bit of sense to say, okay, we're going lower again, because of the very dovish pricing, I would say, in the very short term of the dollar. So if we're pricing that out a bit, if the data allows for it, then I would say we're going at least back down here to 116. That is the very short term, obviously, right? But let's say PPI is strong, or at least solid, and then CPI is coming out at least solid. The market will probably price out the 50 basis point cut for September because that's silly anyway. And we're probably pricing in the chance for 25 cut, or let's say the chance for 3 cuts for the end of the year is probably going quite a bit lower as well. More towards 2 cuts for the end of the year. Now we probably see price just, you know, coming down here a bit to 116 again, maybe even trying to break a bit lower. But I guess we need to wait for the Fed to actually break out of this range between here 116, 175. Gotta wait for the Fed to break this range probably. Yeah, so I talked quite a bit now and probably didn't say a lot, but I guess you know what I mean. Can't yet break any higher on the dollar. Dixie faded back to Friday's close. And we are trying to fade off that level now. Pound is now looking to break higher. See this here? Breaking level now. Yeah. Let's check the euro pound. Just going sideways. As you can see here, bonds are going a little bit higher. As the 5-year. Very big spike on Friday on NFP. That was actually before NFP. And on NFP quite a bit, and then pulled back late on Friday. Trying to get high again. Same thing here on the euro. This is the breaking level. Go above it, gotta close it down. Actually, drag this loss right there. It's 25, so we'll probably just go break even here. It's 60. Let's see if it hits. Same is true for the yen. Probably going to 620. So this is the breaking level here. See here, not below, a lot below this level, like 660. As it's just turning around. Some selling pressure coming up on a pound cable. That looks good. Nice candle printed there on the tick charts. That looks good. Fading the 5-minute candle. And right off that breaking level. That is why I leave some space here. 1 pip above the breaking level, but not further than that, at least for now. Yeah, looks like we're not getting any further dollar strength. Dixie is right at the breaking level. It's not yet breaking through, but it looks like it's going there. Positions are secured with the tight stop. And we're hitting that very boring time of the of trading. We just sit around and wait for someone to play out. Ja.
Hat mich gerade aufgehalten und gesagt, ob das unser Kader ist. Sag ich so, ja. Also wenn eine andere Seite hat gesagt, dass unser Kader im 4-Haus war. Also nein, das glaube ich nicht.
Ja, es war sicher, ne?
Sag ihm, kriegst du das gut?
So the first target for this one, if we see another bounce in the dollar, would be back to the daily pivot point, which is pretty much right above the daily open on a Dixie. As you know, there was a little gap higher on the weekend, which makes sense. I mean, the majors were not been, I haven't changed much over the weekend. There was a little gap to the upside on the euro, maybe pound as well. Small changes, right? But the big one came on the dollar yen. It was 67 pip gap higher on Prime Minister of Japan resigning, which is probably a bit more dovish. That was the only big news on the weekend. But yeah, as I said, the first target for dollar longs here would be back to the daily pivot point, which is slightly above the daily open of the day. Daily open of the day is so silly. Daily open, and then further down, back to the daily highs of the Dixie, which is actually fading Friday's NFP. You won't believe it, but we faded Friday's NFP move on the Dixie already today, early in the morning, early in Asia session. You can see here as well on the Dixie CFDs. This is the start of Friday's NFP move. This is the level, we faded it right there. First target will be back here, daily pivot point, back here, and back up here, weekly pivot, and fading NFP move, and back to the highs of the day. The actual weekly pivot is at the highs of the day. Is a bit different on the CFDs here. The actual pivot point is, the weekly is a bit high. It is roughly here, at the highs of the day. Small bounce here. Equities are pretty much fading. Friday's dip as well. Gold is still running hot, hitting new highs here. Crazy chart, just a crazy chart. For the crypto guys, what is Bitcoin doing? Very much going sideways. Not breaking low though. Right at a big level right now, 111,800. That's a big one. Low from the pullback here, higher from back then in May. Broke below in late August. Now back here. And the dollar is back down. Right at the breaking level. Dixie is right there, but it looks like it cannot yet break it. We're hitting some buyers all the time. Every time we get here, some buyers. The dollar. I think you can see it more clearly here on the Dixie. This is the level. Looking good. Looking very good now. So currently up 600 bucks. Euro dollar take profit is 1,670. Pound 330. And the yen 1k as well. So if we had take profit on all of those, we're up roughly 3k. Will be 30%. I'll probably just be done for the day. I mean, there's quite a bit. Probably just call it quits then. But there's nothing else on the calendar anyway for the rest of the day. What do you guys think? Should I just let the stream run 24/5, or should I close it down whenever I'm not at the desk? Not trading. I'm looking to break higher now. May get the weekly pivot here, and then we should go straight to 148 again. Hit to take profit quite easily. Not yet breaking higher. US dollar, I mean. Still just going a bit sideways. I mean, it could very much be that we just see a very, very boring day. Just going sideways for the rest of the day. Could very much be. There's not a lot to chew on after Friday's NFP. I mean, we priced in the dovish side of things, then we actually faded on the Dixie already early in the morning, and now we pulled back a bit, and we're pretty much, you know, just going sideways here because there's nothing new to chew on. Everybody had something. The dollar bears had quite a fest on a feast on Friday, and then the dollar bulls had a bit of a pullback, a fade of NFP. So there is actually nothing more that you could have, I would say, beside probably, you know, just staying in the range that we had on the day now, which is nothing else that I'm trading right now, right? So I'm just trading the fade back in the range of the day, not trading any breakout, crazy breakout for the day or something like that. So we just extended the range a bit in the morning. Then we had a very, very small break back around 1.5 hours ago, something like that. And that is all I'm trading. Just back to the other side of the range on the day. But I'm not expecting to extend that. Something like that. Dixie is right back to Friday's close here. We're like a pip away from that. Today's open is roughly 5 pips higher than that. true life of a trader, right? Something's happening and then nothing's happening for hours and hours. Just have to wait, see, do pretty much nothing, just sit and wait. UJ is back above the 200-hour moving average. And it is back above the weekly pivot here. Pound is now breaking lower and looking good. It's now negative on the day. Looks like we have a mini break on the dollar. Can you give me some feedback, guys? Can you see the positions that are currently running? I guess it's pretty small, but I can't really make it any bigger because I'm trading on 34-inch screens, means ultra wide, and I can't stream in that format. So everything is probably looking a bit smaller than it needs to be. So can you actually read the positions I'm currently in? Or is that too small to actually see on the stream? I guess in Discord it's okay, but on YouTube I'm not sure if it's actually visible. Yeah, on Discord it works out. Discord is okay. It's actually a bad take profit level on the pound. Right below 135. It's probably not level. It's either higher, like right at 135, or a bit lower, like 149.50. 950. Notch above. We're not really having any big follow through for now. Pound is pulling back. Cable should sell off again here. This is not really looking good. Now we get some selling right after breaking level on a cable. Dollar-yen is still going. There's no tomorrow. That is really detached from all the other matches at the moment. As always, UJ is just a different beast. Dollar franc on pretty interesting levels as well. I mean, they're like nearly all-time lows. Right below the big level of 0.8. 40 pips, not even 40 pips below that, 35 pips. Highs of the day is nearly touched 0.8 again. It just broke lower on Friday's NFP. There's some interesting levels for the longer term as well. Not yet convinced on a clear break higher on a pullback, but if PPI is solid, if CPI is solid, dollar franc is definitely a pair to watch. Yeah, so we're not getting a clear break. Pound is pulling back. I'm just closing down everything and just waiting now if there is something else coming up, but this does not look any good anymore. So that was roughly 900 bucks up, which is 10% on a day. For the first part of the day, it's not bad. not too good either, but it's solid. Probably gonna go hit lunch now, and then come back in a bit later. I'm probably gonna just let the stream run for now, and I'm gonna come back later if there's something new again, if there's another setup. Take care for now, and have some nice lunch as well.